Good morning. Welcome to the Medium channel where we bring you the spirituality behind the message. And this is Adam, bright eyed and bushy tailed on the first Sunday morning of daylight savings time. So if it feels like 10 a.m., well, there you have it. But the good news is we get an hour extra daylight to make up for the hour loss of sleep. So, anyway, and I can't believe that all I've had is peppermint tea so far. So, a question I often ask on a Sunday morning: are you coffee, tea, or caffeine free today? And instead of the peppermint tea, I should have considered mainlining coffee. But anyway, here we are to talk about the tarot, to talk about the world, what's going on both internally in our internal environment, as well as what's going on in the outside world. And we will do a little prediction. Well, not so much a prediction, more like a forecast on what's going to be happening this coming week, what's going to be happening with us, because we're the ones that matter. Of course, what happens in the news and what's happening in the world affects what's happening internally. But the idea here is that we want to make our internal environment so healthy and so positive and so filled with love and light that we can become contagious and other people can catch our good viruses, and maybe that'll trickle down or trickle up or trickle sideways to those people that run the show here on planet Earth, whether it's the government or the corporations or the powers that be that own the governments and the corporation that they want to control us in order to for them to be able to continue to maintain and develop their vision of the future, which is, in my opinion, disempowering and dehumanizing actually to us. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to say a few quick hellos. Hi, Susan, Colleen, Angela, Manic Mama. I think Teresa's your name, right? If I remember. Colleen and whoever else is in early on a Sunday morning. Well, it's still 11, but it feels early. So what's going on astrologically? We have a full moon coming up on early Friday morning. We have the first day of spring on Sunday. And with that, we come out of the dark half of the year and we tip into the light half of the year. So all that we learn during the winter, all the internal stuff, because when we're in the dark season, we go more into an internal mode. Then we can express our new knowledge, our new awakenings, our new insights out into the world. And the world is going to need it. The world is definitely going to need it. And as we know, there's a lot going on. I've heard Anthony Fauci's name come up a little bit more this week. Some of you may recall I did a whole separate live stream on Fauci, the emails, the suppression of information about the possible origins of the virus and everything, and the cover-ups. So there's a little bit of noise, and I still feel like it may not be tomorrow, but I still feel like at some point that's going to come out, and it's going to be interesting. But anyways, what I wanted is, because we're coming into the light season and we're coming into the spring, after we got about 5 inches of snow, of course, we didn't get 14 inches like was forecast here in Phoenicia, but we got 5 inches. It's still pretty, and it's still pretty darn cold. But we're coming into spring, and the in the tarot, there's four suits, right? There's playing our modern playing cards came from these tarot cards, and there's four suits, and the suit that represents the season of the spring is, I think it's the wands. Wait, is Amy in? No, she's not. I think okay, forgive me, it's the first Sunday morning, as I explained, on daylight savings time. But yes, wands or rods is the spring. It represents fire, and it's the light. So when the wands or rods come up in tarot readings, for example, it's really about energy, and sometimes it can translate into career and work and stuff like that. But it's really about energy. So this is as we're starting to transition into the light, this is a really good time to really work on your energy. And there's been so much suppression, and with the latest news, with the struggles in Eastern Europe, particularly Ukraine, Russia, neighboring countries, and stuff like that. And on the heels of 2 years of worries about COVID, and the misdeeds of the media and the governments and all that stuff. And then we're kind of hit with this next thing. We need to kind of let some of that energy out, and doing breathing exercises is really important. So with the spring, it's like a breath of fresh air. So it's a good time to double down on doing some breathing techniques. Long deep breathing is, as I teach, which isn't by no means original. A lot of people do long deep breathing, but but the way I like to teach it is do it for just 3 minutes, three times a day, 3 minutes. So that's the 3 by 3 method that I coined. And what you do is you inhale from your diaphragm. This would be a good time to train yourself how to breathe properly as we start to head into the spring season. Most people do not breathe properly. Most people breathe from their chest. And the part of the reason that is, well, firstly, we're not taught, when we're I should say we're not taught, because it's natural to breathe correctly. We're taught how to breathe incorrectly just because we're taught not how to not handle things like stress and worry and emotion and stuff like that. And because we're conditioned, programmed, whatever word you want to use, to be in stress most of the time. We're only supposed to experience stress if there's a possible threat to our lives, or our well-being, or our health, or stuff like that. Not 24/7. And studies that I've peeked at suggests that the average American is in stress like 60 to 70% of their waking hours, which is probably about 50 to 60% too much. And when we're in a stress or a fight or flight or nervousness, anxiety, all that stuff, the tendency is to breathe shallow. And when we breathe shallow, we're actually feeding that stress. So when you start to breathe long and deep, you activate the vagus nerve, the relaxation response in the body. And by doing that, as you inhale, you want to inhale the love and the light of the universe all around you. We're all immersed in this quantum field, this energetic universe that is largely unseen. We only see the physical part, which is like this big, and the whole like light spectrum is miles and miles long. So we start to tap into the energetic universe, and we breathe that into our body, circulate that around. That way, stagnant energy can start to move. And then when we exhale, we release that stagnant energy. That can be from the news, from the media, from all the arguments. There's a divide and conquer mentality. And again, we have this war, we have the Middle Eastern war, we have civil wars in Africa. I mean, the planet's basically at war, and it's being fed. The agenda to for different sides to clash are being fed by whatever powers that be, the deep state or whatever. And that keeps us in stress, that keeps us confused, that keeps us very controllable. So just by what's the right word, by controlling your breathing, just by learning how to control your breathing, you can start to learn to control your life also. Now, control's a funny word, because in reality we can't control anything. But we can have a high level of influence over our own breath and our own lives, which is tantamount to having control over it. But and that's the key. Just breathing is the key. And I don't know why I'm talking about breathing. I guess spirit is channeling because this was not what I was going to talk about today. But anyway, very important that we learn that. So control the breath, you start to control your life. When you get anxious and you get into these emotions that are often triggered responses to the environment, to the news or whatever, we're not controlling our breath. We're not controlling our life. We set the seeds for disease. And again, there's a lot of disturbing news out there, and a lot of it is an agenda to divide and conquer, to keep us in that stress, to keep us controllable. So let's counter that. We don't need that anymore. And things are bad enough. There's wars, people are dying, people are losing their homes, people are being displaced. We don't need to feed into this nonsense that's going on where we're fighting and clashing with each other because we have different views on what's going on, or who's politically right or wrong in these situations, or all of that stuff. So, if we can kind of step back and kind of see that we're all right, but we're all wrong at the same time, and we can actually learn from each other and grow from each other, that would be a much better way of dealing with our differences of opinions, or ideologies of what we're seeing in the world. And we can learn and grow from each other rather than being stuck in a limited mindset that was a belief system that we inherited from somebody else, most likely anyways. So on that note, let's do a meditation card for the week, and we'll see what we get today. Anyway, you guys are likely to be having really active dreams. To me, and I haven't really been keeping up with what's going on with solar activities and flares and the Schumann frequencies and stuff like that, but it feels like there's like another wave of energy that's coming in. Maybe it's just because we're really starting to come into that full moon energy. I wonder, is today the 11th day of the moon? I'm gonna check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually, yesterday was the 11th day of the moon, so we're in the 12th day of the moon. But what happens? That's approximately when the moon and sun trine, when it goes into its gibbous phase on the 11th day of the moon. And according to the Kundalini yoga practice that I do, that's when our systems start to reset for the higher frequencies of the full moon cycle. Because as the moon gets full, there's an increased gravitational pull on the earth, because the moon and the sun are starting to line up in that way. The sun has a gravitational force on the earth, so does the moon a lot more than the sun. And it affects our bodies, because we're 70% water, just like it affects the tides. The tides get more intense. Our emotions, the water, the element of water, which is emotion, as well as the physical water in our body, gets more active. So this is the time, it's gearing up to the full moon, to step back, meditate more, eat light, lots of good green foods. They say on the 11th day of the moon to eat a lot of greens and to eat light, basically, is what I learned. And anyways, on that note, let us pull our meditation card. And breathe. Long, deep breathing. 3 minutes. Inhaling love and light in the universe. Circulate that body. Let the air go in between the cells. Clear the prana. Clear the obstructions. Clear the block. Exhale and just release stresses, worries, all negative energy back to the universe, because it's not really negative. Energy is energy, but it's negative to us if it's not supporting our health, our well-being, our joy, happiness, and our connection to spirit or God. So anyway, on that note, clearing my mind. God, that's not right. Okay. Found it. Okay, well, this is the card. I mean, it doesn't look like the happiest card, but that is our meditation card for the week, according to Spirit. And sevens are about the planet Neptune. It's about the subconscious also. And Pentacles is about the earth and about the physical. The idea of meditating now, because of the nature of the card that came up in the tarot, and you can kind of, if you can see the picture, sort of get an idea. This is the Hanson Roberts deck. It's kind of like, the pentacles could be material things, money, things that we built in our life, things like that. And the figure's tired. It's kind of like just like I've had enough. It's like, how much more do I have to go and how much more do I have to do? So there's a message here about, firstly, don't give up, because in the tarot it's 1 through 10, like ace through 10. So 7 is pretty close to the final destination, and sometimes we just need a little bit of a reset. And yeah, and this is, I think, what this is trying to tell us, as far as like as we do meditating with tarot cards. The way that I do it is I step into the card after I get relaxed, get into a nice steady breath and get relaxed, step into the card and just kind of feel the energy, see the figures, see what else is going on, and see what the message is about. And because of the nature of the card, you can ask, what's making me feel a little bit drained or a little bit disheartened right now. So if you're feeling that these days, and a lot of people are, you may get your answer just by stepping into this card and meditating, and you can meet your guides, your angels, beings of light or energy that work with you, aspects of collective consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And so do that. So maybe make that a daily meditation. So next on the list, we're going to do a little 3-card analysis of the week. See what shows up, and I'll interpret it. And if you guys have any interpretations, please feel free. Incidentally, stress, stress can cause physical symptoms. So, Colleen, you should do, when you get your breaks, try to do a little long, deep breathing during the course of your day. Before eating lunch, if you get like a morning or an afternoon break, kind of step by yourself, do a little long, deep breathing, inhaling love and light, exhaling, releasing the stress of the job and everything. Oh, what was I going to say? Yes. Firstly, Sharita is on. I was going to say, firstly, Sharita's not on, but yes, she is. So Sharita and I, we have our overflow day. We just did a mediumship gallery where I do the messages from spirit. So I get the messages from those that have crossed over, and then Sharita does your astrology and numerology, basically. So today's the overflow date, and we're only half full. Like, it's a maximum of 10. I think we have 4 people, and so if anybody wants to do that, it's at 3:00 today. I know, short notice, and you can get more information on the events page of my website. It's adambetweentheworlds.com, then /events, and it's $40. You basically get two brief readings for that, and like I said, I'll pick up on whoever's coming through from the other side. Then Sharita will zero in on your astrology, numerology, and give you, what's going on, in the next few months or year or so. So come join us if you feel moved, if spirit's moving in that direction, and you want to gain a little bit of insight into this crazy 2022 vibration. Where are we? We're in our 9-month, our universal 9-month. So yeah, April's going to be kind of a sort of a mini new cycle that's going on. We'll see what's revealed in March. Still, we still have a couple weeks to go. A lot can still happen this month. But Sharita and myself alike have both been pointing to the month of March 2022 for quite a while as being a real axis and a real pivot point in this whole mess that we're in our society and culture now. And sure enough, it is panning out that way. there's certainly more to come. I mean, we're just starting to kind of scratch the surface of what's beneath, in terms of how things come up in foreign policies, like why certain wars or conflicts happen at certain times, or whatever. Um, there's often movements behind the scenes, and unfortunately, people die because of it, and we wonder, why, for what reasons, does this have to happen, and who's benefiting from this? And I think, these are the things to look at. So, wars, conflict, or stuff like that, they're partly just sort of natural progressions of different countries and their ideologies and how they clash, but very often they're orchestrated, or there's some behind the scenes movements that kind of encourages these clashes to happen. And again, like in the movie Thrive, that was very popular, about maybe 10 years ago. Although, many people that are, that understand, both political science as well as spirituality and energy, have been saying that forever. And basically, it's not that complicated. Follow the money. Basically, at least you have a very broad understanding of what's going on in the world by following the money. Who's benefiting? Who's gaining control? Who's gaining power? Yeah, and stuff like that. So, and what's the end game? That's the other thing. There's always an end game. There's always a plan. And the other thing is to understand, different countries or different moving parts in a whole grand scheme of things. So it's not always necessarily the countries themselves, but it's basically how they affect the world, or how these countries fit in with the whole, like, world agenda. So, things to keep in mind. I mean, some of the news, as well as the conspiracy theories alike, can be very fear-based, and we don't want to be in fear. We want to be in our power, and then we can examine all the information and have a better idea of what's going on. But a lot of times, if you hear something, whether it's a conspiracy thing that's not yet proven, or something from the news that's censored, once we have a reaction to it and we go into that fear or fight or flight or that stress or whatever, we're really cut off from the truth. And sometimes that's why these things exist, to get people cut off from the truth. Smoke screens that have us running around in circles and everything. So you check your conspiracy theories, check your conspiracy facts, see if they line up, basically, or if there's a possible link, because something's a theory because it's not proven yet. But see if you can find at least a possible link to them, and understand the sources also. Is there a political source, one extreme, another extreme? All that kind of stuff plays in, because there's so much out there trying to confuse people. And the truth is really in your heart. It's really within. And if we can really just get the stress out of the way, and just really connect with our heart through our breath, and connect to spirit, because when we open our heart, we open our mind, and then we open to spirit. So when we're able to do that, then we're much better able to discern the truth. So we really need to step back and meditate more. The more stressful the world gets, the more we need to meditate, the more we need to turn the computers off, shut down the cell phones, and go out to nature and hug a tree, basically. Reconnect. Okay, so again, let us pull 3 cards for the week. Okay. Oh, hands are so freaking dry. Oh my goodness. I can't even pull cards this morning. Okay, clearing mind. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm doing this all over again. That just does not feel right. This does not feel right at all. Bear with me, guys. It's too bad I can only use the excuse once a year about going to daylight savings time. So I'm gonna ride that for all it's worth. It's the time change fault. Okay. Pulling 3 cards for the week. Take 2. Okay. Spirit saying, just don't make a big deal about it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. Oh, good. I remembered my technology here. This is my technology to display the cards for you. For anybody that's new. Okie doke. This is an interesting set. I like the third card, that 9 of Pentacles. It has a very peaceful look. Um, um, Knight of Swords. Knights are about movement. Your swords are of the mind. You watch those mind viruses that are going around. Never mind COVID. I mean, that's bad enough, but watch the mind viruses, the false information, the programming, the use of psychology on the masses, all of that stuff. Um, I'm almost seeing like a hero or a savior. Not to take this out of context, but I do feel like amidst all the, and this is common, like when there's wars or conflicts or stuff like that, brings out both the best and the worst in human behavior. So I think we're going to see some really interesting things about the best in human behaviors, like people going in and saving a lot of lives, or people starting organizations. I think one of my predictions from a few months ago, or several months ago, around Sadhguru is coming true. Because I understand he's actually starting some kind of an organization or something like that. But a lot of this is about money, and we may get some kind of interesting news about money. Or I mean, I know we're in a big inflation. I know for March, in my 2022, I predicted going into a recession. That's not likely to happen anytime soon, but that's just my lack of understanding of the financial trends. Not a wrong prediction. The the, the um the, the crux of that is that there's a lot of funny stuff going on with money and the value of money, and everything. And sometimes your wars can change the economy also. um but I almost feel the week can start out really, like a lot of energy, like really combative in a way. I mean, this is like the warrior. He's got the sword, he's charging ahead. Basically, there may be, this, going back to Ukraine, this may be representing the siege of Kiev, or something along those lines. But it gets a little bit more peaceful. So towards the end of the week, we may start to hear about diplomats coming to the table, and trying to you work something out. I mean, I feel like this is a conflict that's not going to end anytime soon. But there can be, ebbs and flows in it, obviously. I feel like, again, this is kind of sort of piggybacking, what I was saying earlier, this morning, about us really needing to be in our center, in our hearts, like, to we need to know what's going on in the world, even if it's filtered through the censorship of mainstream news. We still need to have an idea what's going on, but we also need to tune out of that, and we really need to tune within. And I think this is part of what this is saying. I feel like they're saying, instead of worrying about what's going on in the world, do what you can to make your environment as peaceful as possible. So I feel like Spirit's recommending us do some like home improvements or stuff like that, or make a little altar or something like that in your house, or create sacred space, create peaceful space. Basically, I feel like that's good. I feel like they're also saying, don't allow yourself to get fear based with money. And yeah, the price of oil is high, and it's going to get higher, no doubt. And people are freaking out, and then no more Russian import, I guess, of oil. But the thing is, Russia was always just a minor, importer to this country. That's not like the major piece of our oil. And I was listening to somebody talking about. Because I wanted to kind of understand more from a political science view what's going on, and somebody, I forgot his name, but I think he was Russian, and he know anyway. I wish I can remember his name, but he's basically saying, the size of Russia's economy is about the same as Texas, and oil's like a major part of that economy, and but it's not a major importer to our country. Point being, though, is that not to freak out. Like, things go up, things go down. Money is energy. I know that's a cliche that you hear a lot, but it's really true. It doesn't have any value other than the value we place on it. It's our system of fair trade. That's why money's an energy. So, and because money acts on a collective level, because we all deal with money. The trends of money are going to follow the trends of collective consciousness, and what comes up goes down, what goes down comes up. Like any other form of energy, there's always a seeking to maintain a balance. That's what energy does. There's only one energy. There's infinite numbers of forms or expressions that energy can take. So money is that also. So I feel like they're saying, don't freak out about money, no matter what you hear this week or what you hear. Work on creating the internal environment of being more magnetic to money. And that starts by not worrying about it, and by actually believing, visualizing, believing, and owning that you have more money than you even need. And if you can make that reality more real in your heart and your mind, then the way the universe works, because everything's energy and everything's interconnected and interlocked, you start to attract more money into your life, either based on showing up more conducive to wealth in the world, or some crazy synchronicities happen, or whatever it is. That's the key. And I think that's what this is trying to tell us. This group that's here live and is going to watch this as a video, don't freak out about money. You're not going to lose your home. That Russia's not about to bomb New York City. That's something I saw on the internet also, believe it or not. Yeah, and don't go into the fear. Understand, the world is tough, and be prepared. But being prepared is an act of being clear-minded. When you're in fear, you can't get prepared because you can't get clear-minded. Fear is a survival emotion. Fear gets you very hyper vigilant in what's going on right now to your body and in your immediate environment. So forget about planning for the future. You can't do that when you're in fear, because you're very hyper vigilant in the present circumstances. And that's different than being present spiritually, because when you're present with your breath, and these fears tend to dissolve. Just to make that distinction. So anything else? Let me see. What are you guys saying? I know what I'm saying, but what are you guys saying about this? Yes. So 16/7 personal year for America. This is important what Sharita's commenting on the live stream here. Still through early July. Yeah. So that, after 16/7 comes a 17/8, which is more hopeful. There's that's the star card in tarot. If you translate numerology to the numbers of the major arcana, at least up to 22. That's the star card, which brings more inspiration and hope. So, these next few months are going to be really, really defining on how the trajectory of this country is going to go from 2023 and beyond. So, definitely pay attention. Not buying into the World War III fear. Good for you. Don't. So the Russia is doing is for the greater good of humanity. I'm gonna. Yeah, that's a perspective that has some merit. I'll just say I don't know enough to understand that or not. and yeah, it's probably well, my take on that is be open to the possibility of that. Thank you, Michael, for sharing that though. Vicious world, it's roughly the same size as New York State's economy. Yeah, right. Like I said, this is just something that I heard from somebody that supposedly an expert on economic affairs. Maybe Texas and New York have a similar size economy. I don't know, anyways, yeah. The point being is that what Linda's saying and what I heard, that Russia has economy the size of one state of the United States. It's just perspective on things basically. And Mary's. I remember I had that dream of a bomb. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's good. And I'm saying I don't think this week that Russia's going to bomb New York City or anything like that. But it's a slippery path. When dealing with Russia, it's so charged in the whole like worldview of things that the potential, I'll put it this way, if we make some really gross missteps, that there's that potential of us getting kind of pulled into this war and this conflict. But anyways, let's hope that doesn't happen. That's the thing I heard this week. The truth is like a lion. It knows how to defend itself. The truth will defend itself. Thank you. Yes. Only country not to allow big banks in. Yeah, thank you. Um, Doreen, yeah, that's a really valid point. We should understand like these inner workings before we jump to conclusions of who's the bad guy and who's the good guy. This kind of reminds me of this TV show I used to like back in the day. It was called Shield. It was about the cop's name was Vic, and basically the whole tenor of the show was that these were really good cops, and they were really good in terms of putting the bad guy behind bars, putting their lives on the line, but they took bribes also, and from the I think from the drug dealers in the neighborhood. So they took payouts, but yet they were defending people's lives and putting the bad guys behind bars. So it's kind the reason I like that, it's kind of like blending that good and evil and kind of saying it's really not a dichotomy. Like we have both sides, we have dark and we have light, and the lines in this conflict, in my opinion, on who's the good guy and who's the bad guy is very blurred, and I don't think it's 100-0. I think it's more of a blend, to be quite honest. um mhm. Yeah, nature's where the true, yeah, exactly, nature is really what we need. When the narrative putting Ukrainian. Yeah, and that's the point. We don't know what is going on. We see pictures. It's all to manipulate our thought processes. Um, that's the agenda, and again, that's not conspiracy theory. That's conspiracy fact. And look at the Patriot Act. If anybody questions that, that came after 9/11. Of course, censorship in the news was a lot older than that. Read the Patriot Act and other things that were coming out around that time. That there is an agenda behind the news. It's to manipulate the thinking of the masses to fulfill a certain agenda. So the point I was making, by that show Shield, is that we don't know who the good guy and the bad guys are, and the good guys may be the bad guys, and the bad guys may be the good guys. And it's quite plausible that behind Putin, or behind what's going on in Russia, that there is a positive vision. There is something positive. We just don't know. So the thing is, try not to argue with people on social media. Don't go into that stress. And sometimes I like read things. I have to like deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, deep breath. It's like, oh my god, deep breath. And it's like sometimes you want to strangle people, but Instead, open your heart and send them love and compassion. That's the best advice I can give. So let's move on from that. I want to pull a Native American card. Thank you guys for your thank you. Yeah, follow the bank account. Yeah. Look at Putin. Yeah. Yes, I love love this community because this is like intelligent commentary I'm hearing. We're not pointing fingers. We're not saying you're wrong and I'm right. We're just putting out our what we believe and the facts as we understand it and know it. That's the way it should be. So the rest of the world take an example from us. Okie doke. All right, so stickball. Oh my goodness, this is what I got. This has to be the five of rods from the tarot, or five of wands from the tarot. Competition, disagreements, all the stuff that we were talking about, conflicts, wars, blah blah blah. We need to be at peace. Be the peace inside of yourself that you want to see in the world, and one person doing that, it's not going to move the needle at all. But if everybody did that, it would move the needle a lot. So we want to get that 100th monkey, that 100th person, that 1%. All it takes is about 1% of people to wake up for everybody's brain to start to lock into the possibility of awakening. That's what the experiment was about. They were using monkeys, not humans, but in some cases, I know this is a bad joke, but in some cases, there's not that much of a difference. But anyways, point being is that that the idea is that we're all part of a collective, and the more people that awaken, the easier it's going to be for everybody to awaken. That's what the Great Awakening is. Now it's funny because they flash the number 24 in my mind. We may see something really what's the right word? Not incredible, astounding, happening on the 24th of March, perhaps. Or numerology, Sharita can fill you in, but I'm born on the 24th of a month, and I always saw that as a number of integrity and truth. And it's Venus ruled. It's a six. It's a compound number that reduces to six. So I think because of spirit always speaks in our own languages. So anybody that wants to learn tarot or learn mediumship or any type of psychic communication working with spirits, they're always going to speak in your language because they want to teach us, they want to guide us. So if I see 24 as integrity and honesty and traits like that, even if that's not true, that's still spirit understands that's how I see it. So they're giving me a message, I want to say, to give to you guys. And that's how it works. So they're always trying to point us in the direction of truth, but they're not going to give us the answers. They're going to point us in the direction to find our truths, because we're on planet Earth. Whether you see this as a big classroom or a prison planet or whatever it is, it's here to teach us. And you don't learn by somebody giving you the answers. You learn through self-discovery, by finding them yourself. That's what Spirit's going to do, point you in the direction to finding your own truths. Be open to that. Basically, oh, good for you. 24 power. Yeah. I don't know if you're 24th February. I always got you as a Pisces, but if I'm incorrect, I apologize. All right, so that's that. What's next? Oh, I had my my messages from your animal spirit guides back. So the last few weeks I did the medicine card for animal message. Today it's this one, and this is the card. Humpback whale. We like the humpbacks. I think we're just past humpback. Music is essential to your healing and well-being, whether singing, playing an instrument, or listening. And it reminds me of a quote of Yogi Bhajan, who's has a mixed reputation of, but brilliant in terms of channeling Kundalini yoga to us. But one of his saint is or one of his quotes, it may not be his original quote, is the most healing sound in the universe is the sound of your own voice singing or chanting. I sing all the time, not in public because I don't have the windpipes to have a good singing voice, but I am in tune when I sing, and that's it. It's when you're in tune, you're in a certain vibration or certain frequency, and that affects every molecule of your body, every atom of your body, as well as the energy fields around your body. So the idea is to sing and to chant, or if you don't want to sing, put some really good music on. I don't think death metal or gangster rap would be the best choice, but Mozart might be nice. Sometimes if I'm in a really crummy mood, I'll flip on the Grateful Dead because they were part of my kind of sort of my spiritual upbringing, because I listened to them a lot and saw a lot of their shows back in the day, and it's a very calming music, like it's a very calming vibe to me. But sometimes I'll also put the Moody Blues on or Genesis. This is my era of music and my taste in music. But Mozart, sometimes James Brown, whatever mood you're in, music allows our vibrations to sing. It allows our energies to sing. And humpback whales have a lot of significance because they're migratory. Sometimes when they think about the whales, I think about other problems we never hear about because there's all the stuff is thrown in our face. But the migratory paths are tough because there's so many freaking ships in the water, and a whale can hear a ship from 1,000 miles away. So with all that noise, water's an amazing conductor of sound. If you guys don't know, um, like even humans can hear sounds in the water much farther than they can. And actually, you're saying that's not true because there's a damping influence of water also. But when you're in a certain distance away, it's louder. But anyway, point being is that that thought just came up, is that because there's so much shipping, and even though there's been proposals of making quieter engines, that hasn't happened yet. It's very confusing to the whales and their migration. So there's a lot of meaning behind that. But I like the idea of breath, because what do whales do? They take a deep breath, the air, which is the mind, and then they dive deep into the water, which is the emotions, and then they come up for another breath of air. So it's about breath. It's about singing, about chanting, about sound vibration, and how that can really help you to awaken, to help you to start to understand your intuitive gifts, your healing gifts, all that stuff, and how to stay safe. How to stay vibrationally safe when there's so much negative energy from the news, and there's also like negative electromagnetic frequencies we're subjected to also. So in this modern world, we really need to be on a daily basis clearing and cleaning our vibration. So last but not least, messages from the angels. This is the card. We got Isaiah. It's a good time to give birth to new ideas and situations in your life, or get pregnant if you want to do that. I'm watching over you, guiding you, and protecting you during these changes. So it's good to know the angels are guiding us during these changes, and a good time to birth your new ideas. When things change, new things emerge. And this goes back to don't fear the money, don't fear this stuff. It's just changing. It's not going away. It's energy. Energy's never lost or gained. It's just transformed. Um, and just to sum things up, back in the day, it's before my time, obviously not that much before my time though. There's a Great Depression, and then people lost their house, their livelihoods, and all their money. But then there are these, I think, two brothers, maybe three, known as the Gallo brothers, that sold wine on a roadside, um, in California, wound up making millions of dollars. When millions of dollars would be almost $1 billion in today's money. During the Great Depression, we all have a multi-million idea in our brains, and because our brains link with collective consciousness, there are ideas out there that anybody can connect with. And um, like so as the money changes, there's ways of knowing how to make money based on those changes, like being able to anticipate that. Like a lot of people are making a lot of money on doing online courses now. And this is something that Tony Robbins was telling us like 15 years ago, that this is going to be a big boom as the economy changes. Um, so there's somebody out there that's probably made $1 million teaching people how to change their oil in their car through clever marketing, online forums and stuff like that. So this is a good time, especially as we're transitioning into the light season, to go within and to just see what comes, especially if you're, if I mean, it's fine to be concerned, but not worried. There's a fine line of difference. Like, I'm concerned about what's going on, but I don't go into worry, money included. And if you can go into that and just clear your mind and just connect to spirit and ask, what should I do? And just trust the ideas that come up. You may tap into that universal intelligence that has all these $1 million ideas. And like you said, the ideas are always out there and different people will grab onto it. And that's how trends start in society also. And I remember some quote years ago about John Lennon talking to somebody, saying something like, I had this song on my mind. It was at the tip of my tongue, and then darn it, Paul Simon got it, or something like that. So that's basically how that works. So I'm going to leave you guys on that note. Again, if anybody wants to get 2 readings, with Sharita and I, we're doing, this is the overflow date for we had 2 sold out events in a row, like last month. So this is our 3rd overflow date, but it's not sold out. There's only 4 people at last check, and we take a maximum of 10. So you get a lot. Well, unless 6 more people come in, you would get a lot of personal attention that way, more than we can do in 2.5 hours with 10 people. So anyway, if you're interested, it's $40. It's on my website, atombetweentheworlds.com/event. If you want to do this, if you feel called to it, please do that. Other than that, we're going to do mediumship here on the channel next Sunday. We're going to do tarot time also. That's the spring equinox on Monday. There's something happening on the 21st. I forgot what it is. Is that when, Sharita, you're coming on the 21st, right? You're doing the spring forecast. That's what's coming on the 21st on the channel. So Sharita's going to be back doing a presentation here on the 21st. Tuesday, I may come in for the Ascension updates. I need to look at my schedule. And Thursday's upload is going to be the 11th sign of the year, star seeds. So that's going to be my next upload. Certainly growing up, I didn't feel like I was part of this planet. So I think I am part or fully starseed. So I'm going to talk about what that means to me, and why that's relevant and important, and the signs that maybe you're a starseed also, or at least draw on intelligence that's beyond human terrestrial intelligence. All right. See you all later. Have a good one. Stay peaceful. Do your breathing.